Well, good morning, everyone. And I was sitting back in the stage listening to Councillor Saul, very good words of wisdom. And I just, when he walked out, I said, Councillor Saul, there's no government in the history of Ontario that has worked closer with First Nations and done more for the First Nations than our government. And there's no premier that's been more accessible ever. And what he told me in response, he said, do me a favor, go out and tell the crowd that. So there you go. I appreciate the partnership, but I agree with what he's saying. We have a tremendous amount of work to do, and we're going to continue, all of us, all municipalities, working with our First Nations because it's absolutely critical we all work together. And when we all work together, we're a powerhouse. But first of all, thank you, Jayan, and for that introduction. I'm thrilled to be back for the 2024 ROMA conference, alongside my all-star caucus and cabinet colleagues. And I sat back last night and I had a few calls from some of the mayors and a few other people participating. I thought, wow, this is huge when we all get together. And the backbone of Ontario is in this room right now. So thank you. Before I begin, I want to give a big thank you to our Rural Ontario Municipal Association, Mayor Robin Jones, the board of directors, and all the members for having me here today and all the hard work that you put in. And it's really, I sat back again last night and it's hard to believe it's been 5 years since I first stood on this stage as premier. And I remember back then in 2019, I made a promise to you, a promise that unlike previous governments, our government would not ignore rural Ontario. We pledged that your voices would be heard at Queen's Park, that would work with you shoulder to shoulder to attract new investments and jobs, to provide better services closer to home, and to build the infrastructure you need for your communities to grow and prosper and thrive. And friends, we're delivering on our promise. I'm proud to say we're investing more money into rural communities than any government in the history of Ontario. This includes historic investments to support economic development through programs like our government's Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, the Rural Economic Development Program, and the Regional Development Program. We're investing hundreds of millions of dollars to support projects that diversify rural economies and help deliver better jobs and bigger paychecks. As we do, we're working hard to create the conditions to attract new investments and new jobs in every part of the province. Since coming into office in 2018, we've cut red tape, saving people and businesses over $1 billion and over 100,000 hours in time each and every year. We've made energy more affordable, reducing the electricity rates for small, medium, and large-sized businesses by 15 to 17%. We scrapped the previous Liberal government's, and this is the worst carbon tax ever, we scrapped the Liberal government's cap-and-trade carbon tax, which punished rural businesses and people for the simplest of things, like heating your homes or driving between communities. And we're keeping taxes and fees low. In fact, think of this. We've never, ever raised a tax on the backs of people and businesses. We've lowered taxes. And it's a very simple theory, folks. You could take two approaches to government. You either go into government and think the only way is to raise taxes. Let's take money out of people's pockets. Let's take money out of businesses and let's see what happens. It never works, it fails. A simple theory in economics, put money back into people's pockets, they'll go out and as simple as going for dinner or buying a refrigerator or putting an addition on. That's what stirs the economy when you have 16 million people doing that. Or businesses. You can either take the approach the previous government did and chase 300,000 jobs out of the province by overregulation, higher taxes, higher energy costs, and we saw what happens. People leave in the droves and companies leave in the droves. We took a different approach. We put money back into businesses' pockets. They reinvest it into the people, into technology, into infrastructure, and there's 700,000 more people working today than there was 5 years ago. We are an economic powerhouse in North America. Overall, we reduced the cost of doing business in Ontario by $8 billion each and every single year. That's money that goes back into your communities, back into businesses, so they can invest in the workers and innovation and creating more good-paying jobs. And friends, our plan, the steps we're taking to boost our rural economies is working. In 2023, despite painful Bank of Canada interest rate hikes and ongoing global supply chain disruptions, we attracted billions of dollars in new investments. Last year, Ontario added over 180,000 new jobs, including more manufacturing jobs than all 50 US states combined. That's just absolutely incredible, and thanks to each and every one of you. And what I'm really proud of is that these investments, these jobs, are spread out all throughout the province. Huge investments like Numish Ontario's nearly $40 million investment to build a new facility in Brantford, or TNR Industrial Doors, $40 million investment in Oro-Medonte, and Umacor's $2.1 billion investment in Loyalist Township to build a new manufacturing plant for electric vehicle battery components. And folks, you know, every night, 365 days a year, I get a message from one of my great ministers, Vic Fideli. And when I say every night, it doesn't matter if it's Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, he sends me a list of companies that are investing in Ontario. And sometimes he doubles it up, triples it up, and these are the ones we know of. Just think, with all of your help and the cooperation, well, like I said, we've attracted $28 billion in the tech sector, and we have tens of billions on our doorstep right now. We saw $20 billion of tech. That's growing faster than any other jurisdiction because tech affects everything. $3 billion in life sciences. And when I talk to our friends all around the world, no matter if it's ambassadors or consul generals or our number one trading partner, that we do about $460 billion of two-way trade, the United States, the governor, one representative, I won't name which one, said, you know something, Ontario, you're eating our lunch. And we're going to continue to eat their lunch, their breakfast, their dinner as we move forward. Sorry, folks, getting a little dry there. And I know you've heard me speak about this many times before, but I need to talk about our booming electric vehicle industry. That's because this industry is going to benefit every community in the province for generations to come. We're building a homegrown EV supply chain connecting critical minerals in Northern Ontario and clean steel makers in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie to automakers and battery manufacturers right across Ontario, all powered by clean, affordable Ontario energy. Over the past 3 years, we've attracted more than $28 billion in auto and electric vehicle investments, including Volkswagen's $7 billion investment, the single largest auto investment in Canadian history, to build North America's largest battery plant in St. Thomas. These investments are creating thousands of new jobs and supporting hundreds of thousands of indirect jobs throughout the supply chain in communities across the province. We're becoming a world leader in the electric vehicle revolution. Now, Ontario is the only place in the world, think of this, the only place in the entire world that the 6 largest automakers call home. Our goal is to attract number 7 and number 8 as well. And friends, as our economy grows, our population is growing at a record speed. Ontario is the fastest growing region in North America, bar none. We're on pace to grow by 5 million people over the next decade. That's growth the likes of which this province has never seen before. So we need to build and we need to build in every part of our great province. That's why we've embarked on the most ambitious capital plan in Canadian history by investing $185 billion over the next 10 years. And I know I saw Minister Surma in the back there talk about someone that understands infrastructure. No one in Ontario understands it better than Kinga Surma, and she's a massive supporter of our rural communities. So you'll hear from her right after myself. Through the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, we're providing $400 million this year to 425 small, rural, and northern communities to renew and restore critical infrastructure, including roads, bridges, water, wastewater projects. In the county of Simcoe, work is underway on a bridge crossing over the future Bradford bypass. In Essex County, we're widening and expanding Highway 3. This fall, we completed the first phase of work to widen Highway 17 between the town of Renfrew and Arnprior. We're also continuing work to widen Highway 11 and 17 in Thunder Bay District. These projects are improving safety, easing congestion, and making it easier for families to get where they need to go. We purchased 3 new train sets as part of our plan to bring back the Northlander, connecting Timmins and Cochrane to Toronto. And last year, we approved the terms of reference for the First Nations-led environmental assessment to finally build the all-season roads to the Ring of Fire. And it's not just about going to get the minerals. It's going to bring healthcare. It's going to bring proper food. It's going to make sure they have fuel. And I love the fact that Webequie and Martin Falls are the ones that are doing the EA. We're also making historic investments in healthcare, bringing convenient care closer to home for rural communities. Over 10 years, we're providing almost $50 billion for over 50 new hospital projects, including projects outside major cities like in Bracebridge and Huntsville, Collingwood, West Lincoln, and Picton, just to name a few. And I have to thank Minister Jones, my Deputy Premier. She's an absolute champion. Let me tell you what we've done. This is just the top of my head, and I know you'll hear from Minister Jones before, but people say we got to fix the healthcare. I agree. We're throwing every resource we have at fixing it. We've seen over 10,000 doctors registered in the last 5 years. We've seen over 80,000 nurses registered here in Ontario over the last 5 years. We saw 17,000 nurses that came into the system last year alone, which was a record. We have 30,000 nurses in our colleges and universities getting ready to get out to work. We're the first government in decades building medical universities, be it in Brampton or in up north and right across the province in Scarborough, obviously producing great doctors, great nurses getting out into the field. And I mentioned the $50 billion. That's probably the Prime Minister calling me. I'll call him back in a minute. So I need more funding, tell him. Minister Jones recently announced an investment of over $108 million to expand Orange Air, better connecting patients in rural and remote areas to urgent care. And pharmacists are doing more to treat people in their communities, relieving pressures on family doctors and our entire healthcare system. In fact, we now have the shortest surgical wait times in all of Canada. And I say that there's always room for improvement. We still have a long ways to go when it comes to wait times, no matter if it's for surgical backlogs or for waiting at the emergency departments. With all of us working together, we'll continue to move forward. And as we move forward into 2024, we're going to keep investing to connect people to care, including by connecting more people to a family doctor and primary care team. And friends, we also know that reliable internet is a priority for our communities, and that falls under infrastructure. And I always say, we need the roads, we need the bridges, we need the hospitals, we need the schools. But in Northern Ontario, nothing impacts a family or business more than having high-speed internet. And as part of that, our nearly $4 billion multi-year investment, we're on track to bring high-speed internet access to every region in Ontario by the end of 2025. Because in today's digital world, everyone needs access to reliable internet no matter where you live. And we're working hard to make sure that they do. With this infrastructure, rural communities will have the tools to build for the future. But of course, we can't talk about building without talking about building more homes. That's why last summer, our government introduced the Building Faster Fund. This new fund is a 3-year, $1.2 billion provincial program to reward municipalities that are getting homes built quickly. And I got to tell you another story. I know I'm going off notes all day here. It's probably driving my teleprompter guy crazy. But when I had our friends, the Congress people, senators, governors come up and pay me a visit, and they said, man, you guys are booming, and you're the fastest growing region in North America. How are you getting the homes built? And I said, we're paying our municipalities. And he goes, what do you mean you're paying your municipalities? I said, we're actually paying them. You build X, we'll give you money. You build more, we'll give you more money. They almost fell off the chair when I told them that. But if that's what works, if that's what helps your communities, so be it. We're there to make sure that we support you in any way we can. I know many small and rural and northern municipalities have been waiting patiently to hear how they can access their share of the fund. And friends, let me assure you, we will not leave these communities behind. As I announced last year at AMO, 10% of the overall fund, that's $120 million over 3 years, is debt dedicated to small, rural, and northern municipalities. Today, I want to tell you a bit more about how the funding is going to be used. After consulting closely with AMO and representatives from rural Ontario, we will soon set up an application-based process that will allow municipalities which have not been assigned housing targets to access the Building Faster Fund. Successful applications will receive funding for important infrastructure projects like roads, water, or wastewater that will help get more homes built in your communities. As we finalize that process, the province will continue to consult to make sure this program is giving you the support you need. There are a number of municipalities that are on track to meet or exceed their housing targets, including several that are here today. That list includes places like Belleville, Chatham-Kent, Innisfil, Kingston, Pickering, Sarnia, Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay, Welland, and there's many more, Whitchurch, Stouffville, and so on and so forth. To these communities and to all the other municipalities that are on track to hit their targets, congratulations and well done. In the coming months, these municipalities will receive funding through the Building Faster Fund that can be used to support a range of community building projects and housing enabling infrastructure. This funding will be critical to getting even more homes built and sends a clear message that our government is there to support you as you get more shovels in the ground. Of course, not every municipality has reached their target. And I know that in many cases, and I hear this all the time, and this is where we're going to come with funding, a lack of infrastructure is partly to be blamed. So moving forward, our government will take unused funds from the Building Faster Fund, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars, and make them available for housing enabling infrastructure investments that all municipalities can apply for. This approach will continue to reward municipalities that hit their targets while supporting much needed new infrastructure in communities across the province. And as our government continues to step up with billions of dollars of support for infrastructure, I once again urge our federal partners to match our funding dollar for dollar. Friends, I'm so proud of the progress we've made together over the past 5 years to ensure that everyone, no matter where they live in Ontario, has the same opportunity to access a good paying job, to start a business, to buy a home, and raise a family. And while we have made progress, we know there's so much more to do. As we face challenging economic headwinds, we need to continue creating the conditions for better jobs and bigger paychecks. We need to find ways to get more shovels in the ground faster, to build homes, roads, highways, and infrastructure. We need to take more action to ensure people in every part of the province are connected to the high-quality services they expect and deserve. We've shown that when all levels of government work together, when people and communities work together, we can achieve amazing things. I look forward to working with all of you to build a stronger province. Let's keep going. Let's get it done. And thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thanks so much.